Hello everyone. So I missed yesterday. We just had a very crazy travel day. So today is day 9, but I'm also going to do day 10, but that will be probably when I get home this evening. So this was by request, feeling safe in your body and safe in the world. And I think particularly as women in this culture, it's much harder. There's threats that women deal with, that men don't really have to deal with. I remember distinctly my freshman year in college, and I was a runner at that time, and I'm running by a construction site, and I get the whole wolf whistle, all that stuff, and my personality, I keep running by him, and I flip him the bird. Like, I was just like so pissed. But I think below my pissed offness is probably fear. It's like, it's unpleasant to have those circumstances happen. And this is kind of the way I look at it. It's sort of like, oh, I just get to help myself to do this with a woman. And I also remember when I was in corporate once, there was a guy, I knew him quite well, and we were all at a group of us, a huge group of us. There was a trade show, and we were all drinking, and we were at a bar, and this guy walked by me on his way to the bathroom and just grabbed my ass, like just helped himself. And I was just like, I was so shocked and so stunned. And I think probably at the time because I was buzzed too. So I went up to my sales manager, who is a guy, and I was telling him, he's like, what? Like, and I don't think he had a freaking clue what to do either, because he was not someone that was going to do that. So literally it sort of got let go. But ironically, a few years later, this guy called me, and it was actually, honestly, it was a great moment for me. He called me and he goes, yeah, it's to my understanding that he said this other guy told him that I had called him a lech. And I said, yeah, I'm sure I did, by the fact that we were at that bar, all of us were together, and you walked by and grabbed my ass, just helped yourself. And just stone cold silence on the other end of the phone. And it was a moment, it was sort of like the reckoning for me. And it was like, yeah, no, I'm sure I totally did call you that. Because I felt like in that moment he thought he was going to like catch me. And this was a guy that was in a position of power. And even indirectly a position of power over me. And after that, interestingly, nothing, no repercussions came to me, nothing. I am not saying that's true for many of us. I was also at a bar one time, even before that, in my 20s, and there was a guy, same thing, just kind of did the same thing, just helped himself, like grabbed my ass, and I lost my shit in the bar. To the point that I think every man, like everyone in the bar, it was like flipping the light on and there's cockroaches in the room and they're running for cover. I just was so, in that moment, I was so pissed. And I basically started yelling at the guy, and I'm like, don't you ever freaking do that. And so we all have different responses. So that time I went into fight mode. The second time I went into freeze mode. And I think the thing is, we have to learn to honor and accept the position that we go into. And I think why I'm sharing all this, it's to feel safe in our bodies in this world, especially as a woman. And I'm sorry, I just believe it's the way it is in the patriarchal culture. It's more challenging because women have inherent threats that we have to attend to and deal with as a woman in this culture that men don't. Men have their own challenges in a different way. This is not typically one of them. So I want to share that because not feeling safe in our bodies makes sense for a lot of reasons. You have those things that you're dealing with as a woman. If you are compromised as a woman, as a young girl in any way, you're going to not feel safe in your body, because especially if you're compromised by someone who was there supposedly as a protector. Supposed to be. So there's a whole host of reasons as to why someone might not feel safe in their body. And then that lack of safety can tend to manifest. That's where I will use the word manifest in physical symptoms. I know that's true for me. So you could go back to the origin. Like if you can try and remember the first time you did not feel safe in your body, and it could be, you had a rageaholic. I had a rageaholic father. He had PTSD. I very seldom felt safe. Like in my home, I was never hit. I think I was hit maybe once, but it was not by him, but I was hit a lot in Catholic school. And then, so you wouldn't feel safe. It's like, is it safe to be in this thing, what they call it, the flesh suit? So let's tap. Karate chop. Even though I never learned how to feel safe in my body, I choose to acknowledge I feel this way now. Even though I never learned how to feel safe in my body, I deeply and profoundly accept myself anyway now. Even though the world's felt like a pretty unsafe place for me. So of course I don't feel safe in my body. I choose to honor my truth right now. I didn't learn how to feel safe in my body. I'm going with what's coming. Hey, Diane. And yet the culture I live in tells me I should know how to. That I should take command of myself. That I should stand up for what's right, especially as a woman. That I should not allow someone to perpetrate me. And yet I didn't learn how to do that as a young girl. So of course it's challenging at best to learn how to feel safe in my body. And if I blame myself in any way, I should have handled that better. I should have stood up for myself more. I should have walked away. I should have fought harder. What if I can catch that bully in the brain in the act and tell him to take the back seat? Because I'm doing the best I can. And I always have been. Given what I was taught, given my upbringing, and especially living in a patriarchal culture. And what if I can honor that kid in me that learned to feel so unsafe in this world? And what if over time, as I learn to judge that inner child less and soothe that inner child more, what if I start to feel better? And I start to feel safe in my body, even just 5%. And then maybe 5% more. And then maybe 5% more. And what if that helps me see this differently? That I can learn to stop blaming myself in any way. and soothe this part of me that's been so afraid. And release the judgment. And cultivate acceptance. And know that I've always done the best I could. And I still am. And what if the more I do this, the more it changes what's possible for me? Take a breath. So again, yes, it's always, you see the theme here, always go back to, am I judging myself for this? Am I making myself wrong? Am I making this a problem? Have I blamed myself in any way? And that's the thing you want to unhook from first, is the self-blame. Like, I'm blaming myself. I'm making myself wrong for this. I that's what I do. And through that, by changing that over time and shifting it over time, and know that it's a journey and it's a process, then what if ultimately you start to see it differently, and you do find you don't have to try to feel safe in your body. All of a sudden you're like noticing, wow, I just feel safer because I've learned not to judge that inner child. I've learned to soothe that part of myself. I've learned to stop blaming that part of myself, despite what the culture will tell me. And it improves. And I know that's been true for me, and it continues to be a work in progress. And I was telling my husband this yesterday. It's, I gauge things. Like, we stopped at this place called Glorietta Conference Center, and it's north of Santa Fe, and it's a beautiful conference center. And the gates are closed, but there's this walkthrough, and we had 3 dogs, and we wanted to get them out. And I was like, no, I want to get them out, and I want to check out this beautiful place I haven't been here in forever. And we were both like, well, if somebody comes and tells us we're not supposed to be here, that's fine. We'll just leave. But I was in a mood yesterday where it was like, if somebody comes and says that to me and reprimands me, I'm fine with it. I'll just leave. But I'll have days that I'm more insecure. So I'm like, yeah, today's not a day I'm comfortable doing that. And that's how I believe I start to honor myself, is I go, I just feel a little more fragile today. So I'm not in the mood to be reprimanded. My kid's running my show a little more. And I think if we can look at it that way as well, and just go, this is how I'm feeling today. Today, I don't feel so solid in my footing. So I'm not going to put myself in a predicament where I'm going to get triggered if somebody reprimands me. And then the next day, I'm solid as a rock here, or I'm solid enough that I know I can do this, and it's not going to be a problem for me. I don't care if this is, revisiting my childhood in Catholicism today, I'll bang my shopping cart. It won't matter. And I think that can be really helpful, because then you're honoring the different aspects of yourself. So that's it for now, and I'll do another one later tonight. Bye-bye. It's great to see you, Diane. And tell me, Shai.